Hi, this is Pat Hanahoe-Dosch, your professor. I'm here to talk to you about cliches and trite language. Now, ordinarily, it's hard to be able to say definitively that you can't do this absolutely ever in writing because people experiment with things, language, form, and so on. And there are always exceptions to pretty much everything. However, not with cliches. Cliches and trite language are just bad. You don't want to use them. Of course, having said that, the one exception might be if you're writing prose and you're trying to create a character or portray how a character speaks, and that person speaks in cliches and trite language, because that's the kind of person he or she is. You're revealing the type of person for a specific purpose in the story or say whatever. But otherwise, you don't use cliches or trite language. I've seen a few poems where the poets tried to play off the cliches and make fun of them and mock them and try to redeem them. But that's hard to pull off. Generally speaking, the basic rule of writing is that you do not use cliches or trite language. They're just bad. Just bad. Categorically bad. No cliches, no trite language. Now, the question, of course, is what are they and how do you avoid them? It's not necessarily easy. So, first of all, a cliche is an expression that's been overdone. I mean, done to death, which is in itself a cliche. It's been used so many times throughout our culture, language, history, whatever, that it's become meaningless. It's dead language. It's meaningless. Nobody stops to think about what it means, what it says. It's just meaningless. So, for example, if I just started out saying, it's cold as, your brain immediately, automatically finished that sentence with, it's cold as ice. Or maybe there are a few other variations, I suppose, but basically, it's cold as ice. That's the big cliche. If I said it's hot as, you immediately finish that sentence with hell. It's hot as hell, right? That's what cliches and trite language are. They're the first automatic thing you come to, blank, when you say something. And it's meaningless. I mean, think about it. What does it's cold as ice actually mean? Is it really cold as ice out there? It's actually 37, so that's cold. That's not as cold as ice, actually. It's cold. It's miserable, but not as cold as ice. Ice, has to be below freezing. So cliches are also not precise or imaginative, and they don't tell us much. Supposing you turn that around. Supposing you said a description of how hot it is, you instead of saying it's hot as hell, you say it's as hot as the Arizona desert in the middle of August. Now that's precise and gives you a real image. Okay, it's a specific image. It's hotter than New Jersey in summer, right? But perhaps not as hot as Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in the middle of summer. So it's a very precise type of heat. So you need to think about descriptions that are more precise and more imaginative than cliches or trite language allow for. Now, trite language is a language that is not necessarily an expression, but it's things where we use the words together so much they're also dead. For example, the azure blue sky. How many times have we heard that, right? Or the fluffy white clouds. How many times have we heard that? Okay. Again, not actual expressions, but they're words we often hear together and are therefore meaningless because we hear them all the time. If you hear someone say, oh, well, that's trite, it means it's hackneyed, it's old, it's overdone, it's overused, dead language. That's what cliches and trite language are. And that's why we don't use them. We try to get creative, to be imaginative and precise in how we say things. So how do you do that? How do you find new ways of saying things? I mean, that's the challenge as a writer. That's your job as a writer. You want to find a new imaginative way to say everything. It needs to be original. Nobody expects you to be necessarily brilliant 100% of the time. You don't have to come up with these amazing things that alter our perception of reality. But you do need to be original in how you say something so that your audience will think carefully about what it is that you have just written. You want to convey it precisely too. Remember, cliches are not precise. Sometimes they don't even make sense. Like, it's raining cats and dogs. What does that mean? That's stupid. Doesn't even make sense. So you have to think about that. You want it to be precise. So how could you precisely, carefully describe rain coming down? You could describe how it smells, how it sounds. And the Navajo often describe a soft, light rain as a feminine rain, and those hard, beating down hard rains as masculine rains. That's an interesting way of looking at it. You could describe the rain as a tiny waterfall gushing down from the gutter into the sidewalk and flooding out. I don't know. It's not, again, that's not brilliant, but it's precise and original. So you get the idea. You need to create a picture, what you're looking for. You want something to be precise and create this precise image in your audience's mind when they're going to think about, not just zip over because it's meaningless and they've heard it a billion times, the way they do with a cliche or trite language. Now, in your course, in the learning module, I put a bunch of links that take you to websites that list tons of cliches. So you can actually scroll through them and get a sense of a whole lot of things. But a clear test is, you know them if you hear them. If it's the very first thing that comes into your head when you write something out, stop and ask yourself, is that a cliche or trite? Have I heard that before? Don't settle for that first thing that comes into your head when you're trying to describe something. Oftentimes, it's going to be a cliche or something trite. You have to give it thought. Good language is hard work. Good writing is hard work. You have to really think carefully about the way that you want to describe something. Imagery can help a lot. So think hard about the language that you want to use for anything. And avoid cliches like the plague, right? There's another cliche, one that we've discovered is true. We've seen all kinds of people not avoiding plague, not getting vaccinated, not vaxxed, going out to try and get it. That's another issue. Anyway, on that pandemic note, have a good night or day, whatever time it is that you're watching this.